This conference will now be recorded.
So let us try to understand what is a version control system, and I am requesting everyone to please keep muted. Okay, unless you have a question, please keep muted. If you have any question, you can unmute and speak out. Until then, please keep muted. So what is a version control system? Some of you might be using it, some of you might be completely new. Okay, let us analyze what a version control system does. To understand this scenario, let us take a very simple example. Yeah, imagine there was a code base. Okay, lot of code is available. Let's say developers were working on this code and it was kept on some shared repository or shared drive, shared folder, let's say. Okay, here is the code on some remote location and developer A, developer B are accessing this code base. Okay, I'm talking about a scenario without version control system. So, suppose developer A and developer B have to work on the same code. Let's say they have to work on some program files like p1.java, be it any files. Okay, both of them have to work on the same file. Let's say developer A got this file to his local computer and also developer B got the file at the same time to his local computer. Okay, both are working on it, like both are making some modifications, and on day one, okay, developer A kept the file back to remote, right? Like he has made his changes and he has kept his changes on this remote. So on day two, developer B kept the file on remote. So now if you don't use any version control system, this file p1.java after 2 days, like after the second day, will have which person changes? A simple logic. They were all sharing the code here and they were getting the code to their local computer, making modifications and placing it back. So after second day, after both the developers place their changes, which person changes will be there here? Do you think it will have both the person changes? Which person changes will the file have after the second day?
In person.
Only person B changes, right? Because what is happening here, person B changes are overwriting person A changes. Isn't it? Developer A changes are overwriting developer B changes are overwriting developer A changes, isn't it? This is what happens if you don't use any version control system. Means if our same person, sorry, if our different developers are working on the same file, okay, if they are trying to modifying it, the file will have only the latest changes, right? Latest changes were updated by developer B. So developer B is overwriting changes of developer A. Developer B doesn't know this. This is happening without knowing, right? Even developer A doesn't know that his changes are being overwritten. If this keep on continuing in a project like a development team of 10 developers or whatever be the number, you can imagine, right? At some point, the project will be messed up and corrupted. Correct? Right? So how can we overcome this situation? How can we eliminate like overwriting of one person changes with the other changes? How can we protect or secure the code better? So this is one of the scenarios where version control system comes in. Right? Version control system helps developers to work simultaneously, parallelly, because see, developers will be working on their own logic. They'll be working on lot of code. They cannot just sit and check whether their code is saved properly or not if someone else is overwriting or not, isn't it? So that's one of the things where version control system comes in. So what developers have to do after writing the code, developer A, developer B will put the file into some version control system. So this system take care of over eliminating overwriting, see that the code is all secure, saved properly. So they need not work on it manually because that will not be possible to always check whether his code is overwritten or whether his code is saved properly, right? So that's where version control system comes in. It allows developers to work simultaneously, parallelly on the same code base. Not only that, suppose you want to check what are the changes happening. Means if you want to have detailed logging, what is meant by logging? Detailed history of changes happening, right? So what this version control system again helps in having a detailed logging. Like I want to know, okay, developer A made changes to file p1.java on line number 9 on like 29th September, right? So also the time at 7 a.m. So if I have this kind of detailed logging, if something goes wrong, let's say application is working fine till 6:50, suddenly at 7 o'clock something happened, application is not working fine. In between some changes might happen which led to this, right? Immediately I want to remove or revert those changes. So if you have this kind of detailed logging, can you manage this kind of detailed logging again manually? Can you do that? So this is where again version control system comes in, which can help you with the detailed logging of the changes happening on the infrastructure. I mean code base, particularly the files. Yeah. Not only this, if you want to maintain the versions, backups, why you need to maintain a backup? See, suppose you are working on some file version 1. Okay, client came with the modifications or new code changes or new requirement. So they want a new version 2. You have deleted it, this version 1, or you have modified the same to make version 2. Fine, that's good. After few days, if new version 2 is not doing well, they may want the version 1 back. But you have deleted or you have modified the same and made v2. Means a rework. You need to write the code again to make version 1. So to avoid this problem again, version control system. You need not delete or overwrite the existing code. Okay, have the backups, maintain the versions. All these are possible with the version control system, right? So it will help you, it will allow you to maintain versions, backups, allow you to have detailed logging of the changes happening to the system. Okay, it allows developers to work parallelly, simultaneously on the same code base. So now what is a version control system? By now you might have understood. Version control system is the one which can help you maintain your code base, or else let me put it this way, which will help you maintain your static files. Okay, your files may be Java program files, C Sharp, Perl, any files for that matter, simple text files also can be version. Any static files can be version controlled. See, actually it's called as a developer tool because it's a mandatory for developers. They would definitely write the code, they should manage it with a version control system. But version control systems can also be used by testers, ops teams, everyone, because even testers write some code to test the application, right? Like automation test scripts. Even ops person will have some config files, will have some script files and so on. And also for a DevOps person, yes, we would be managing our infrastructure as a code. Maybe Terraform files, Ansible code, all those can be version controlled, right? So in short, version control should be known by everyone. How you use version control to manage your files, to manage your code base and to collaborate with your team members. So this is an important tool everyone should learn. Okay, first we'll learn version control system with respect to managing our files, version controlling. Okay, then we'll talk about how do you integrate in the CI/CD pipeline of our DevOps. Okay, so first we'll take up this. This is more related to our course. Okay, but as a DevOps person, as we go by in the coming up classes, we are going to write Terraform files, Ansible code, we are going to manage Kubernetes files. All those can again be version control. So that's the reason first learn how to manage your code base with the version control system. Then we'll integrate it in the pipeline. Is the agenda clear for each and every one of you? If you're already working into some version control system, yes, you might be quite aware of this part. This is for anyone who are new to these tools. Am I clear? Okay, so now that we understood what a version control system is, let us talk about the different types of version control systems we have. See, based on the architecture, they were categorized as centralized version control systems and distributed version control systems. Before I step in, See, if any one of you have any questions or confusions, please feel free to put your queries. Okay. Yeah, coming to the centralized version control system. Like I said, yeah, based on the architecture, they were categorized. See, this is the architecture, like architecture of a centralized version control systems. In this kind of architecture, you will have a central server, or else called as a remote server, where all the code base, all the program files would be kept. Okay, and here if you see, this is the workstation of each developer, like developer 1, developer 2, developer 3. They'll get the code from the remote by connecting to the remote repository to the local computer, make the changes here and put it back. Okay, this is a local. Okay, like it works like a local. They'll get the code from remote, work here, and once code changes are done, they'll put it back. This is the normal or else a simple architecture of centralized version control system. But there are few drawbacks with this kind of architecture. One of the drawbacks being, to work with the code base, they need to connect to this remote server, meaning always network connection should be there. If for some reasons, if you don't have network connection or network disconnected, entire work will be halted. Okay, that's one of the reasons, because see, to connect, they are connecting to the remote and working on it. So this is one of the drawbacks you have. And the other drawback is, this central server, or if this remote server is crashed or gone for some reasons, right, entire work is lost, because this works like a single source of truth. Yeah. So chances of recovery are very less. So these are the two drawbacks of centralized version control system. To overcome these drawbacks, there came another architecture called distributed version control system. Okay, what is a distributed version control system? We'll look into that. Some of the examples of the centralized version control systems are SVN, TFS, Fairforce. All these falls under centralized version control system. And this is the drawback they have. And in the modern methodology, like particularly like DevOps, we were using distributed version control system where it comes into picture. Okay, so let's talk about distributed version control system now. You can sense the difference here very clearly. See here in distributed architecture, this is your central server or remote server, and this is the workstation of each individual developer. This is the workstation of each individual developer. This is a developer 1, developer 2, and so on. Okay, and if you notice here, every developer is having a copy of this remote repository into his local computer. This is my workstation. Let's say I'm a developer. This is my laptop. Okay, this is my workstation. So I'll get a complete copy of this remote repository to my local system. Okay, that is called as local repository. In a distributed version control systems, you'll have two repositories: remote repository, local repository. Again, you will be not directly working on local, rather you would be working on another directory called working directory, or else working copy. Okay, let's imagine it's some directory in your system. You'll be working here, move your changes to local, from local to remote. And unless you push your changes to remote, no one else can see them. They're confined only for yourself. Only if you push your changes remote, yes, other developers can see your changes. Okay, there are many advantages with this kind of architecture. The first most drawback which you will face during centralized version control system, like even though there is no network connection, you can still continue work on this local. Means you need network connectivity only to pull and push, means only to get a copy from remote, or else if you want to share it, I mean put it on remote and share it with others, only then you need network connectivity. So even then network connection is not there, you can still continue working on it. Okay, that's one advantage. Another one is, even though the central server is crashed, chances of recovery are more, because see here, every developer is having a copy of this remote, right? So you could get the copy, you could recover your remote repository from this any of these local repositories. So chances of recovery are more. Also, it works faster because the majority of the times we'll be working here. Once a particular logic, once a chunk of code is done, then only we push to remote, isn't it? We don't push every line. So majority of the times we'll be working on your local system, isn't it? Local repository means it resides on your own system. So obviously it works really faster. So this is how you can overcome the drawbacks of distributed version control drawbacks of centralized version control systems. And Git is one of the distributed version control systems. We have Git, Mercurial, Fossils. All this comes under distributed architecture. Clear with the architecture of centralized and distributed, all of you? Should I repeat anywhere? A confirmation will help me. Got it, everyone?
Yeah, we are good with what you have. Okay.
Thank you, Rakesh, for confirming. So anyone have any question, let me know. So why Git? You can see Git, how Git is widely used when you compare with other tools like SVN, TFS, and Fossils. Git is very widely used and it's a market leader. So we are going through Git. See, you can try to master one tool under each category. Okay, you need not learn all the tools in the category. Okay, you just try to master one tool in the category. If you learn one tool, working or switching with any other tools in the same category would be quite simple. So this is the graph from Google Trends from some 2020. You can also see the latest graph from Google Trends. And yeah, we have understood the architecture of distributed version control systems, right? Now let us talk about the architecture of Git in particular. Like what are the terminology Git uses? What are the layers Git has? So let's have a look at this. See here, like I said, you'll have two repositories, local and remote. Okay, and yeah, we'll create a local repository by copying from this remote. Okay, so this is on my workstation. This is my laptop, let's say. Now, like I said, you don't directly work here. You will be working on some other folder or directory. Okay, you make your files, make your code changes here. Then there is a layer called staging area. Okay, staging area or index area is a virtual layer, okay, which exists between your working directory and local repository. Meaning, you cannot push your changes directly this way. You cannot from working directory to local. No, that's not possible. Then you have to push your changes from working directory to staging area, from staging area to local repository. This is how it's like a 3 steps. It's called Git tree. It's like a 3 steps before your changes goes to remote. You cannot straight away from local working directory, you cannot put your changes here. Okay, no, you have to first put them into the staging area, then to the local repository. So you may be having a question, what exactly is this staging area? Like I said, it's a virtual layer. Okay, it's a layer that exists between both of them. But what is its importance? Has it got any importance? Of course, yes. It works like a preview or else a pre-step or else a pre-check before your changes goes to local. Meaning, let me give you a simple example. Suppose in a working directory, I'm having 10 files. I want only 5 files should be placed in local. I'll add only 5 files to staging. Okay, when you commit, these are all the commands. We'll be learning many commands in Git. Okay, so whatever files you have here in the staging area can be placed into local. You cannot just other files because they are not in the staging area, they will not go to local repository. Means in simple, it helps you to have better control on what changes are going to your local repository, right? That is the importance of this staging area or a index area, whatever you call it. It's a virtual layer that exists between your working directory and the local repository. Got it, everyone? So yeah, that's about the architecture of Git. So yeah, you'll have it's like a 3 steps before your changes goes to remote. First, you make your code here, add it to your staging area, then push it to local. Okay, once you are good with it, then push to remote. Only once you push to remote, other developers can see your code changes. Other means you are sharing them with others. Until then, they are all confined for you. This blue box is confined for yourself. No one else, I mean pink box, no one else can see the changes. This is your local computer or a local workstation, your development machine. Okay. Not only developers, see, imagine you are a DevOps person, you are writing some Ansible, you are working with some Ansible files or Terraform files. So any files, this is how you would manage them. Okay. Got it, all of you? Can I go for the next step? If everyone is clear with this, I shall talk about like how your changes goes to remote or some interesting pointers here. First thing is, how do you create this local repository? Anyone? Like I already mentioned, how do we create our local repositories? If you cannot unmute, you could also put it in the chat window. That is also fine.
Using the git command.
Sorry?
Using the git command.
Okay, using it. Okay, see, yeah, you could create your local repository in 2 ways. One is copying from remote, isn't it? Means the first use case is, let's suppose it's a development project or else any project, it's already running. Okay, it's some old project from 2 years and all. You join the team now as a new team member, maybe a developer or a DevOps person or a tester, whoever you are. Now already code base, already files are there on remote. It might be a code or it might be some configuration files. That's the next part. So already your project is there on remote. You could copy from there, create a local repository, right? Then make your own code, make the modifications, then push here again, push to remote and so on. So one use case is copy from remote. Already project is there on remote. So copy from remote, okay, and create a local repository. That's one use case. The other one is maybe it was completely new project. Okay, it's a completely new project, just starting the project now. So you have to create a local repository. You can create a local repository, an empty local repository on your workstation, develop the code base and push to remote. So this local repository can be created in 2 ways. One is by copying from an existing remote repository, or else create an empty local repository, develop a work on here, develop some files here, then move to remote. Right? So these are the 2 use cases, like where you come to create a local repository. We'll take up both the scenarios. First, we'll get started with this. Means assume that we are starting, it's a new project. Maybe I'm a DevOps person, I need to create some config files, some script files. So it's a new project, there's nothing on remote. So first I'll take my workstation, I'll create an empty local repository, develop the code base here and push to remote later once my project, like once my code changes are done. Okay, so first let's get started with this scenario. And here I'm reminding you, we'll not be writing any code here, any dummy text files, so that you will see how you manage your files. Okay, so let's begin. Now we shall go to our server. We shall install Git and get started. Shall we begin, or any questions here? By the way, have you all done with your AWS instance setup, all of you? Whoever joined today as your first class, okay, I'm requesting you to watch the yesterday's session after this class if you are new to create an AWS instance, okay, and start and get started. Anywhere if you're stuck up, you could reach me. So let's launch our instance. This is the one I have created yesterday, right? So let us select and start instance. Please keep muted, everyone. To avoid any background noise, please keep muted. Unless you have a question, please keep muted. It was starting. Once it is started, that's a Linux instance, right? We shall install Git there and work on it. Okay, it started. Let us connect to it. Let's get the public IP. See, you could connect to it via Git bash or browser connection or anything is fine. I'm connecting it via PuTTY. See here you have to choose the PPK file. Okay, this PPK file you have to generate using PuttyGen. See, yesterday I have added a video of generating PuttyGen in the drive. Okay, if anyone facing any difficulty there, you can watch it and use it to connect from PuTTY. This is the drive. I believe you all have drive access by now. In this drive, go to Git folder. Sorry, not Git. In the lab setup on AWS, I have added a short video, quick reference to add the PPK file. Also, document is also available. Okay, you could follow and connect your instance. Now, yes, I am connected to my instance. Let me log in. Default user is easy to user. Let me increase the font size. Okay, so I'm working as easy to user. To install any packages or do any installations and all, switch to root user. Sudo su hyphen su is super user. So will become a root user. Do you see that? I became a root user. Okay, so as a root user, we could install anything here. So let us use yum, the default package manager for installations. It's like a tool which will help you to install packages, softwares on your system. Install git with a Y flag so that it's like confirmation. Git is installed. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay, so now Git is installed. You could run simply Git command. You'll see a lot of web posts means Git is installed. You could also check the version of Git this way. Okay, Git is installed. Perfect. So now we are all set to go. Okay, so we have installed Git, right? Fine, Git is installed on your machine, but Git doesn't know which directory, which folder it should track on the system. Isn't it? Git doesn't know which folder or which directory it should version control, it should track. So you could go to the directory wherever your files are there, or else whichever files you need to version control, go to that directory. Here you can create a directory on any location. Under root, I'm going to create a directory. mkdir is to make directory. We have discussed these yesterday. So just create a directory like git demo. Okay, so directory will be created called git demo. Go to that directory. How do you go to that directory? Cd git demo. Okay, so I'm inside git demo now. Okay, so perfect. Here I'm going to create another. It's up to you. You could also work on it directly. I'm creating here another directory called my project. Go to my project. It's not mandatory that you should create this directory structure. Okay, you can feel free to use any directory. So perfect. Now I would like to put my files in this my project directory. Okay, as of now there were no files, but I'm going to place here. Means I want Git to version control this particular directory. Okay, whichever directory you want to version control. See, I'm placing here the diagrammatic representation so that you could understand well. This is the directory called my project. Okay, here I am going to place all my program files, whatever files. Here I am going to put all my program files. So I want Git to version control this particular directory. So whichever directory you want to version control, go to that and run the command git init. Whenever you do git init, this particular directory becomes local repository. Always refer to this architectural diagram. Keep this diagram in your mind. Always relate to this whenever I'm explaining anything. So this yellow box is the one I'm going to create. I'm going to create local repository. Assuming there is nothing on remote, okay, I'm creating this directory. Come here. Now, yeah, run the command git init. Right? So there's nothing on remote, it's a new project, I'm creating a local repository. See, whenever you do git init, it says initialize empty git repository. .git directory will be created. You could check the hidden files with the -al. LL will show you the list, long list, and -a will show you hidden files. .git is created. See, actually ls will not show you, ll will show you, I mean al will show you .git. .git is created means this particular directory, this particular folder became local repository. From now onwards, if you place any files here, all of them will be version controlled by Git. Making sense, everyone? Is that making sense? Yeah. So I made a local repository. Any files present here will be version controlled by Git. Okay, fine, local repository is created. Then what about working directory? Isn't it? You may be having a question like, what about this local repository? Correct? Sorry, what about this working directory? See here, let me tell you another interesting point. This local repository, okay, and this working directory is physically one and the same. It's the same directory. Physically is the same directory. Then how come you'd say working directory and local repository? Logically, they are different. Means how logically they are different? Let's see. See, this is my directory called my project and I made it a Git local repository. Agree with this part, all of you? Okay, now I'm saying it's a local repository, but actually if you create a file here, if you just create a file or get a copy of file from somewhere, if you just place a file in this directory means it is said to be in the working directory here. Okay, suppose if you run the command called git add on that file, then it is said to be in the staging area. Okay, if you run commit command, then only it is said to be in the local repository. That's how logically it is different. It's the same directory, means the same my project is a local repository, the same my project is the working directory. Okay, so logically this is how they are. Physically it's one and the same. Got it, all of you? Any confusions? See, Git is a tool which you can enjoy if you learn it with the clarity. Initially, for a beginner, it may be a bit confusing, but if you spend some time and analyze the things and get the logic, it would be really the tool which you can enjoy working with. I'm trying to make the things simple as much as possible, like so that you could easily understand. Understood this point? It's the same directory, one and the same directory. Okay, if you just place a file means you say that, okay, file is in the working. You cannot say it's in the local repository. If you add it, then yes, see your file moves this way from working directory staging, from staging to local. Then once you are good with the code changes, you could place it on remote. We'll go to remote tomorrow. As of now, we are still here. We didn't talk about, we didn't create any remote repository yet. Am I making sense? Got the logic, everyone? I would like to wait here for some 30 seconds. Let me know. Everyone, I need a confirmation from all of you. Fatah, Kiran, Nilesh, got it all of you, or anyone, any confusion?
Yes, we did. Got it.
Thank you, Nilesh, Fatah, everyone for confirming. So if you want me to repeat, I can do, just let me know. Okay, so now, yeah, I have created this my project. Okay, like I said, it's a local repository, but how come it's the same as working directory and all? Let's see practically. I'll show you this practically now. Always remember this architectural diagram. Okay, working directory, staging area, local repository, then remote. You should have this in your mind always. Now, yeah, as of now, I don't have any files, right? Let me create some file. Like I already said, you could get a file from somewhere, you could copy it, or you could use any editor of your choice, BI editor, Nano editor, whatever of your choice. Yesterday, I have shown you working with a Vim editor. So let me create some file. I'm creating HTML file. Don't worry what is HTML. Okay, it's some language like a Java and all. Of course, it's a markup language. Just ignore it. It's some file. That's it. You could create text file. That is fine. That's absolutely fine. We need some file. That's all. I'm writing a dummy line here. This is my first file. Save it. How do you save it? Escape colon WQ exclamatory. File is created. Okay, but a file is created, okay, in this directory, my project, but I don't know like whether it is in the staging area or working directory. Can anyone help me? So where is this file? Don't worry if you don't know, it will help you. Just run the command git status. See, it clearly ignored this much for now. Just come here. Untracked file. Untracked means Git could not track it. Git knows there is a file. See, it is telling you, okay, index 1 is there, but it could not track it. It's an untracked file. Okay, fine, it's not tracking. It is also giving you clue. Nothing added to commit, but untracked file is present. Use git add to track it. It is asking me to add. So can you relate to the architectural diagram and tell me where is this file now? Means what do you say now? Like where is the file? What do
Working
you call it?
directory.
It's exactly. It's in the working directory. Okay, it's in the working directory means Git cannot track it. It is asking us to add means it is asking us to place it in the staging area. So your git status command will tell you where is the file. So it's in the working directory. It's the same. My project is called a working directory now. Okay, now I'll do the add git add index 1. Okay. Perfect. Now check the status again. Okay, where is the file now? Please, everyone, you could use the chart window also to answer. If I add it, it is in the staging area, isn't it? So now if you check the status, see, there was a difference. Do you see in the message? Some time back it said it was in the working directory, but now changes to be committed. It's not committed, to be committed means where is it? In the staging area, correct? To be committed from staging area only you can commit. You cannot commit from working directory. So now what do I do? Git commit minus M is mandatory. It's a message flag. M means message. This flag is mandatory when you commit. Okay, you have to put some message and you should give here a descriptive message which suits the particular scenario. Maybe like this is my first code, or else this is a feature of a login scenario, kind of a relative I'm sorry, a relative descriptive message should be given here. Okay, I'm just giving now a dummy message like my first file. You could give, okay, this belongs to the bug fix of 001 in the new branch, kind of descriptive message. so that at a later point of time you can understand what this commit is all about. Okay, it's like a comments. You put some comments right in the code to understand what it's all about. A kind of comment. Okay. Now, perfect. Now, if you see the status, working tree clean means whatever changes in the particular working directory were all added to local repository. Okay. So ls will show the files in the working directory. Git ls files will show the files in the local repository. So the same directory is a local repository as well as working directory. Got the simple logic, everyone? I'm asking this particularly whoever are new to this tool.
Preeti, excuse me. Hello? Preeti,
Another scenario. Yeah. Let us repeat this with another file, like let's say index2.html. Okay, I'm creating another file. Let's say this is my second file. Okay, let me save this. Now tell me, where is this index2? Please keep muted everyone, or else answer and then mute yourself.
working copy.
Exactly, it's in the working directory. You could check the status always. Git status. See, it's an untracked file. Index2, it's an untracked file. It's in the working directory. So if you see ls, yes, index2 is there. It's in the working directory. Okay, let me show you git ls files. Git ls files will list the files in your staging area, right? Or else in the local repository. See here. Got the difference, all of you? You could sense the difference here very clearly. Index2 is not there in local repository. It's there in the working directory. Means it's set to be in the working directory. And status message tells me to add, like it's untracked. So let me add it. Git add index2. Now what would be the status message and where is the file now?
Staging.
It's in the staging area, right? See here, changes to be committed. Okay, fine. I'll commit the changes. Git commit m for message. Let's say second file or second message, whatever it is. Okay. So now if you see,
Git ls.
so yeah, we have committed. Now if you see git ls files, you can see both the files now, right? So that's the same directory. My project is the working directory. The same my project is a local repository. Perfect. And yeah, till now we made some bunch of commits. How many commits we made till now? How many times we did the commit command? Twice, right? Every commit will generate a commit ID which is unique. To see the complete commit history, git log. The git log will show you the complete commit history. Every commit is generating this huge commit ID. Okay, that's a unique, that's generated with a hash code, and you can see the commit message here. Okay, if you want to see a simple log, you need not refer the entire commit ID. First 7 characters are enough to refer any commit. To see the brief log, git log 1 line. It will just show you the brief log. See, just first 7 characters and the commit message. That's it. Right, that's the commit history, including the timestamp. Okay, and the person who made the changes. I'm working as a root user, so yeah, the timestamp. This is what the detailed logging your Git will help you with. Yep. So these are the simple commands and the very basics of Git. So now that you understood the logic of working directory staging area, let us proceed to the next step. Yeah, till now we were creating a new files, correct? Shall we see modifying the existing files? Isn't it? It's not always you will create new files, right? You may have to modify the existing files. Yeah, let's see that. Let me modify index 1. Okay. And one more thing. See, till now I have added each file one by one, right? If you want to add all the files, you could use git add dot. Okay. And one more thing is, whenever you are adding, okay, your files will be added to the staging area. Will be added to the staging area. From staging area, when you commit, whatever be the number of files here, to add multiple files, git add dot. And whenever we are running commit command, if you notice, I'm not providing any file name. Means what is happening? Whatever in the staging area, suppose 10 files are here. Whenever you run commit command, all the 10 files will be committed. If you want to commit a specific file only from the staging area, that is also possible. These are all some additional commands. You can also do that by git commit file name, sorry, no quotations, git commit file name -m commit. Only that file will be committed. Okay. But generally, we put it in the staging area and commit them, all of them together. But in case if you want to commit only particular file, you should provide the file name. Otherwise, whatever in the staging area will be committed. Okay. Now, come back and see modifying the existing files. Let us edit this index 1. Let's say I'm writing a dummy line, or else you could add again the headers. Let's say some new line. Okay, that's some dummy line I'm adding. Some change I want, that's it, done. Now let us check the status. What would be the status message showing us? Yes.
Whether the repository is created or not.
Repository. See, we made modifications to this file index 1, isn't it? So we just made a modification. Earlier when we created index 1, it used to show us untracked, right? But now, because it's not a new file, it would be showing us like changes not staged. Why is it not showing untracked file? Earlier, whenever I created new file, do you remember the message? Untracked file. Untracked file will be shown for new files, means it's not at all added to staging area. But here index 1 is already there in the staging area, isn't it? So not staged means unstaged changes. See, try to get the differences, try to understand this terminology thoroughly. What is the difference between untracked and unstaged changes? Unstaged changes will be shown. Yes, please, go ahead.
Untracked is for a new file and unstaged is for existing file.
Exactly, it's for a new file. Unstaged means file is already there in the staging area. You have modified it. Means modified changes will be shown with unstaged. Because as we progress to the advanced concepts of Git, maybe tomorrow, you will be seeing like unstaged changes. Don't think that they are untracked. This is a thin line between them. Untracked and unstaged changes. Unstaged means just the modification. File is already staged, isn't it? We have already added into the local repository. It's already staged and committed. Only certain modifications. So it was showing you unstaged. Okay? I believe you got the difference between the two. So what you have to do, as usual, you have to add again. See, whether it is a new file or whether it is a modification, every change will go through the same process. Here you have to note one more thing. Git works with respect to changes. The change could be creating a new file, change could be deleting a file, change could be modifying it, or whatever it is. Git works with respect to your changes. All the changes should go through working directory, staging area, and local repository. Right? So it's a change. Again, add it and commit it. Or else, because it's not a new file, okay, file is already added, right? Because it's not a new file, you could do this way, like git commit with the A flag, minus A, minus M. 1 second, give me a second. So git commit minus A means add and commit. Okay, this is a message flag. You could do this way. You could do this way only for unstaged changes. Means it's not a new file. Unstaged changes, you could do this way. But for untracked, you can do only this way. For unstaged, you could do this way or this way. Anything is fine. But for untracked, only this method. You have to do separately. You have to add and commit separately. If it's untracked, means if it's a new file. If it is not a new file, you could do either ways. Understood? Shall we do this method now? Add and commit in one command. Let us run this. Git commit, because it's not an untracked, it's already a staged file. Minus A add and then commit. I mean A flag and message flag, like let's say file modified. You could give a better, much more better commit message like index1 modified, something like that. Done. Now if you again check the status, it's a clean. Okay, and yes, you have got these two files. Also git ls files. Perfect. Right? That's how you could work with the modifications. And also, if you check the log, yes, please, Rakesh.
What is the difference between ls and git ls files? Both are same, right?
ls, no. ls will show the files in your working directory. Git ls files will show the files in your local repository. Sometime back, I have shown you the difference also. I think you missed it. When we added index2, I have shown you the difference. Only once you add to the staging area, you could see the files with git ls files. ls is just a Linux command which will list all the files in the directory. Like you can say changes in your working directory. Okay, I'll show you again in some time. No worries. Okay, please wait. I'm going to create another file so that you could see that again. So shall we take up the next scenario? Another small scenario for today. Shall we proceed? Okay, can we add the minus A before commit if we are adding and commit, save a new change, says Fateh. Can we add the minus A before commit if we are adding and committing or save a new change? No, no, Fateh, that's what I said. If it is a new file, you have to do separately only git add, then only git commit. You cannot combine, you cannot use it in the same command. Okay, but if it is a staged changes, means unstaged changes, I'm sorry, modification, it's not a new file, not a new file. In that case, I can do this way separately, or else in that case, I can do this method also, minus A minus A. But for new file, only this method. For not a new file, either this method or this method. Got it, Fateh? Is that your question? Thank you. Thanks for confirming. Right. So let us work with another file. I'm going to create here one more file. This time I'm creating a normal text file. Anything will do. Okay. Any files you can create. A new text file created. Okay. Done. So now tell me what would be the git status, or else where is this file one? Is it in the staging area, working directory, or local repository? And what would be git status giving us the message?
Working directory.
I want the answers from all of you.
Working
Please
area.
be attentive and do respond. Tell me, please.
Working directory.
Exactly. And what would be the git status message?
Not written and untracked.
Untracked.
It's a new file, right? Yes, it is definitely untracked. It's a new file. Okay, it shows you like untracked file. Perfect. It was working as expected. See the difference now. Some of you are asking about the difference between ls, git ls files. Got the difference now? ls will list all the files in your working directory. File 1 is there, but git ls it's not there because I didn't add and commit. Got the difference, all of you now?
Yeah.
Right, perfect. Now, yeah, because it's an untracked file, let me add it. Git add file 1. Okay, now where is the file? Obviously in the staging area. So it is asking me to commit. I'm just committing once again. That's all. Okay. Because I want to execute another scenario, I'm creating this new file. So let's say text file modified or whatever. Done.
Preeti, I have a doubt.
Yes, please.
Is the -m command mandatory?
-m, yes, it's a mandatory. Message is mandatory, Arvind. A
Okay.
message is very mandatory for a commit command. Just try without -m, it will not allow you. Because like I said, every commit will be appended, or else every commit ID will be having the message for you to refer. Because by the time by a week or couple of days, I would be seeing a huge commit history, right? I should understand quickly what this commit is all about. That is the message is important. That's why I'm saying give a descriptive good message here, so that you could understand what this commit is all about. Good descriptive message means you just give some information what this commit is all about. Like let's suppose, okay, I made this commit for my login scenario. Okay, give the message, right? Login functional requirement 1, or else something like that, depending on the code you are writing. Or else let's say I have made this code for Ansible Apache playbook. Okay, let's say Apache playbook, something like that, so that I could see, okay, this is the commit related to Apache playbook. So I would understand what this commit is all doing. So message M flag is mandatory. Okay. Now I'm going to edit this file. Okay, modify the file. Already we have seen this scenario, but yeah, let me edit this file. Go to this file one. I'm trying to edit this. Another line added. Maybe developers may be writing their logic. As a ops teams, we might be writing some configuration scripts, whatever it is. Okay.
Preeti,
Yep. Yes, please.
explain me how to create the file. You're creating very fast.
Okay, it's okay. I'll show you. Yesterday we have done seeing a file, right? So I thought you might have done some practice. It's okay. I'll show you. Give me a few minutes, okay? Because
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of the scenario. I'll show you. First, let me do this. See, unstaged changes. Okay, changes not staged. Yeah, they were unstaged changes. So what you have to do, you would add a comment, right? Or else what I would like to see is, if you want to see unstaged changes of the file, git diff file name. See here, diff command and the file name will show you unstaged change of the particular file, isn't it? This is the line I have added. It's unstaged, it's not staged, right? So that will show you unstaged changes of the file. And git diff, okay, first let's see the unstaged changes. Okay, now I'm adding them, I'm staging them. Git add file 1. Okay, now is the file having any unstaged changes? Is this file having any unstaged changes now? No unstaged changes, right? They were all staged. Changes to be committed means, yes, changes are staged. So if you run the same diff command now, no output because no unstaged changes. Staged changes are there for this file, right? So git diff staged, okay, will show you the staged changes of the file. Can you see this line? Yeah. So the same line was under staging area. Making sense, everyone? A simple scenario, if you want to see unstaged changes, if there are any unstaged changes, git diff file name. Okay, after that I have staged it, and to see those staged changes, git diff staged. And I'll run the command slowly so that you could follow the steps. See, I just simply committed one file, then made some modifications which are unstaged. So to see this unstaged changes. Later on, I have added it. Then staged changes can be seen here. Is this much clear for all of you? What I did?
Yes, Preeti.
Yeah, everyone. Thank you, Nilesh, for confirming. What about others? Shankar, Vinay, got it, everyone. Now I'm going to do one more step here. The file is having, let's check the status. Okay, the file is having staged changes, correct? I am modifying this again. Third line. Another new line added. See, just go to escape mode. Escape insert mode. Escape I. I'm repeating how to make modifications. It's escape I. Okay, escape I means you will be going to insert mode where it will allow you to type in. Now, if you want to save it, escape colon. Okay, I'm repeating escape colon. See at the bottom your cursor will be there. WQ exclamatory, that will save the file. Please, if anyone new to Vim, do some practice. Okay, it's simple so that you could concentrate on the actual concept. Okay, so practice this after the session. Escape colon WQ exclamatory. I have added it. I'm showing again escape I. You will be going to insert mode where it will allow you to type in. See your green cursor is here. Now if you want to save it again, escape colon WQ exclamatory. And just give me 1 second please. Here in the drive under Linux basics, I have also placed the steps how to edit the files. Okay, once also go through it. Okay, in the Git folder also I think I have placed some. Okay, just once check it out. You have all the help also there. Now let me save this. So fine, I have made some changes. Now tell me, is the file having some unstaged changes or not? Is this file having
Yes.
any unstaged changes or not? I
Yes.
want to see response from everyone. Please, you could use the chat window. I could see whether you're following or not.
Yes, it has some
Unstaged
change.
changes. Yes, there were unstaged because just now I made a modification, isn't it, Fateh? Just now I edited the file means it's unstaged change only, isn't it? See? Okay, first before doing this, let me show you unstaged changes with the diff command. See, the third line is not staged. I just modified it. I didn't add it. So obviously unstaged. Is the file having staged changes or not? Staged means which are there in the staging area, not committed. Is it having staged change or not? If you have followed the scenario carefully step by step, you could see this. The file is also having staged because after adding second line, I didn't commit it. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what I did. See here, summarizing the scenario. First, I have created a file, added the file, committed the file. Perfect. Now I modified the file. Modified means unstaged change. Okay. Then I have staged it. Okay, means these unstaged changes I have added. So there were only staged changes. Later on, I have modified again. So it's having unstaged changes, obviously. Also staged changes because after adding, I didn't commit. So the file is having second line. This is second line. Staged, I didn't commit later on. This is third line. Okay, this is the first line. Sorry, second line. Second line only, unstaged. Later on, I have added it, it became staging. Got this with the steps? This is the first line. I have added, committed, first line, done. I have modified the file by adding a second line. Okay, that was unstaged. So then I have added it. So it became staged. Later on, I have modified again, third line, unstaged. So finally, the file is having both the staged and unstaged changes. Agree with this, everyone now? Correct or not? So yes, second line is staged, third line is unstaged. That's why when you do git diff, it was showing unstaged line, third line. Git diff stage, second line is staged. And at this point, when you see the status, see, it will be showing you the same file under stage. Changes to be committed means staged or unstaged. Changes to be committed means staged or unstaged changes.
Staged.
Exactly, staged. So it was shown under staging area. Your file is under staging area. Similarly, not staged means unstaged means working directory. Means sometimes whenever you see the status, same file may be shown both under staging area and working directory. Don't get confused. This could be the simple scenario. Okay. Now, if you want to put everything, like if you want to commit everything, you could run git add, git commit separately, or else you could do with a single command because it's not a new file. Okay, text file modifications. Am I clear with the scenario? Is that perfect for all of you? Understood this much, everyone?
Yeah.
So now if I do this git commit -m, the unstaged changes will be added and committed. Okay. So let me run this. Done. Now if you see the status, yes, it's all clean. Working tree is clean. Okay. LS will show the files in the working directory. Now you could also see file. So that's a simple scenario so that you could understand how your changes are. Am I clear with this part? Can I go for the next command? Two more commands. Yeah.
Okay.
Shall I go for the next scenario? See, till now we have seen creating the files, right? Let's say deleting a file. Suppose I don't want this file one anymore. Git rm file one. That's all. That will delete the file. Just do ls. See, the file is no more. Git ls files. See, file one is no more. It was deleted both from local repository and also from the working directory. File is gone both from local repository and working directory. Okay. Now at this point, if you see the status, the changes to be committed means your rm command is making changes to your staging area. Also, like I said, whether you do any change, whether it is your change could be anything. Git works with respect to the changes. Because we made a change here and your changes are applicable to the staging area, it's asking us to commit. Simply commit the changes. Git commit -m, deleted the text file. Now, yes, there is no file here. Also, if you do git ls files, no. Also, if you check the status, it's all clean. Your file is gone. Okay, of course, you could revert those changes. Reverting we'll discuss tomorrow. This is how you can delete your file both from local repository and working directory. Maybe sometimes I just want to delete the file only from local repository. Means, okay, this is my project folder, right? Maybe in this project folder, let us assume that index2 is some documentation, like some documents, some my project notes, okay, which I have taken for my project. Okay, it's like a personal notes I have taken. I don't want to place it in the local repository, but by mistake I have placed it. So how to delete only from local, because in the working directory I needed to refer back. So, but the file is here in both local repository and working directory. So if you want to delete this file, okay, only from your local repository, git rm cached file name, let's say index2. Okay, so now check that. See, your index2 is still there in the working directory. ls will list the files in working directory. If you do git ls files, yes, index2 is no more. Got the difference between rm and rm cached? Also, if you check the status, it says that changes to be committed. Okay, like I said, whenever you make any modification like a change, commit the change. Git commit -m deleted the file from local repository. Now ls, no, index2 is there in working directory, but it's not there in the local repository. And if you check the status, why is this shown like this? Anyone? Why are we seeing this message? Untracked file index2, anyone? Why are we seeing this message?
As we are deleted, we need to commit the staging.
Sorry?
As we have deleted the file from the staging area, we need to commit them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a new file, isn't it? Like earlier when we create a new file, how is it shown? The same way, right? Because it's no more in the staging area and local repository. It is working like a completely new file. Got it now, everyone? So yeah, it was shown like untracked file index2. But yeah, I don't want to add in comment because like I said, it's some documentation. I don't want to add in comment. Also, I don't want to see this message. Means I don't want Git to track it. Is it possible? How can we tell Git not to track some files? That is where Git ignore comes in. We shall take up from here in the tomorrow's class. Any more questions from anyone?
Ma'am?
Yes, please. Yeah, hi. Vinay.
Yeah, ma'am. If we are doing changes, no, ma'am. I mean, we are removing the file and adding the file. Is it necessary? We need to commit compulsorily to give the command.
To give the?
I mean, we need to give the commit, ma'am. I mean, git commit compulsory if we change,
Yes,
if
yes.
we do any changes for
Because
the file.
yeah, you are talking about after deletion should be committed mandatorily. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
because see the reason is whenever you commit, okay, your changes will be like your changes are like registered or else your changes are there in your local repository. Always we have to place any change in the local repository. That's our main concept, right? From local only you can move to remote. Also, after deletion when you commit, what happens, you are getting your changes are registered, you will get this commit id, right? So if you want to undo it, this can be undo when you commit it. Of course, in the staging also area also you can undo it, but leaving your changes uncommitted is not a best practice. All the changes in the staging area should be committed so that your changes will be registered at a later point of time, maybe tomorrow, after a week. After a week, my log history, my commit history might be so huge, but any point of time if you want to refer, you could retrieve those changes when you commit them. Okay, so yes, whenever you are seeing something like uncommitted changes, yes, you have to commit them. And like I said, though that change could be deletion of the file. At this point, our change is deleting a file. Change could be anything. Git works with respect to the changes. Like your change could be creation of a file, deletion of a file. It could be anything. Got it, Vinay? So that
Yeah, ma'am.
tomorrow
Yeah.
I'll show you. Because I got this commit ID, maybe tomorrow or else after few days, I could undo this commit and get my file which I have deleted. Okay?
Okay.
It will not allow you to push your changes to remote unless you commit. You should have your working repository clean. Okay, it is not clean now. I should also get rid of this, whether add or comment, or else I'll show you tomorrow how to ignore certain files. Only once your repository is clean, then you can push to remote, which is the best practice always. Okay, so commit any uncommitted changes. Okay, another question from Kiran. What command is used for unstaging all the file changes? Unstaging all the file changes means if they were already in the staging area, you want to remove them from the staging area, right, Kiran? There is something like a restore command which will help you to unstage your changes. Okay, whenever you are committing, it will be also showing you somewhere restore. Get restore, the file name will help you delete the file from the staging area. Okay, means it would be unstaged again. Any more questions? Do some hands-on. See, hands-on is very important and it's a mandatory. After the class, watch the recording and do the hands-on. Okay, so that is all from my end for today.